It was the 1960s. They say if you can remember it, you weren't there. Yes, that's me. Tie-dyed, long-haired and smoking who knows what, along with my girlfriend of the time. We spent 3 days of peace, love and music at Australia's version of Woodstock. On the bill that weekend was local legend Billy Thorpe and his Aztecs, who belted out the words we all tried to live by. Around this time, friends like Simon Townsend were getting themselves thrown into jail for refusing to serve in the military and go to the Vietnam War. While I remained politically naive, and along with the camera, I played at war with my friends.
After 46 years, I've often wondered whatever happened to the movie.
Most of us were in our early 20s. We dressed up like soldiers and fought in the war-torn province of Kincumber, a leafy suburb of the New South Wales Central Coast.
The movie was made in 1968. I was only 16 at the time, and now look, 46 years later, it's still in production.
The movie has never been finished because it is completely silent. I wrote dialogue for all my friends, but it has never been recorded. I now made it my mission to find the original cast and get them in front of a microphone.
Okay, you guys, let's move out.
Those crowds are long gone, Sarge. They got... Oh, hang on, try again.
Some of the original cast were actually easy to find, thanks to social networking. But for others, it was next to impossible.
This movie has taken so long that actually 2 people in the cast have died, and now their grandchildren are looking forward to seeing it.
Now, the character I'm doing the voiceover for, unfortunately, the man who did that has passed away.
This is the last photograph taken of Mal Livingston, who played the German general in our film. Mal was actually a genuine war hero who received a medal for gallantry during World War II. Sadly, he never got to see his only acting role on film.
I'm really excited that this is being done because it sort of puts some of my life into place, although I can't remember most of it, and it's great. Love it.
Oh, hello. Lovely to see you.
You too. Put it there, pal. Hello, Margaret.
Good on you, Ross. Lovely to see you, mate. Lovely to see you. Margaret. Ross.
Look at you. She's still as young as I last saw her.
Yes, she is. Mate, I've waited 50 years for this and I've driven 6 hours. Let's get this show on the road.
After you.
I got a phone message out of the blue telling me a guy I served in the war with was looking for me, which puzzled me because I've never been to war. Turns out it was Ross and he wanted to record my voice for his war movie. Paddy, the female star of this film, and Ross, they got together and I was the one that introduced them to one another. And after they split up, my wife and I went to their wedding. My wife was the bridesmaid. I thought it was a lovely wedding. Ross wasn't there, uninvited.
At the time of filming, I was actually engaged to Paddy. Later, she dumped me for another man. So, with mixed feelings on how I might be received, I went back to her last known address, her parents' home, which she had left so many years ago.
Dave! Long time.
I'm the son of Paddy Baddock, and she was the only woman in the war film. Mum never talked about her youth much, and I was quite amazed to find out that she was actually in a war movie.
Blind Trevor, David Lowe.
Paddy's son now has a family of his own, and it crossed my mind while we were filming that if Paddy and I had married, this young man could have been my son, and his 2 girls would have been my grandchildren.
Hold on a sec, I'll just frame up. Look empty.
It's so amazing to see my grandma in this movie that she has made so many years ago. I'm looking forward to seeing my grandma in the movie too.
I was called in to play the only female part in this film. Ross had tried to locate his former fiancée, Patty, but it was 46 years ago that they made this film and he wasn't able to find her.
You ready to go?
Yep.
Here we go, and...
As a woman, I have often wondered why men go to war.
At the time, I had no training in television, and I borrowed my father's camera, his 8mm camera. This is the exact one. No high definition here. You actually had to wind it. Then you had to wait a couple of weeks for the film to come back from the chemist, and then you could see what had developed. This rusty old can holds the original film, which runs about 40 minutes. Nowadays, this little SD card for my current camera runs about 4 hours in high definition picture and sound.
Come on, get over here. Leave him. He's gone.
Well, when I saw myself in this scene, where I looked visually upset, I was very impressed with myself. I really was. I didn't think I was capable of things like that at that age, with no experience whatsoever. And yes, I was impressed with myself.
My performance, probably give a 4 out of 10 because, as I said, I was only young and it was all a new experience.
Ronnie's hit. Corbin! Corbin!
And I do recall the shot in the eye with the penny skyrocket from the rifle and also the leeches that were about at the time.
Nelson, you've got a good arm. You think you can land a couple of grenades in the house from here?
Sure, Kirby, sure.
It's bittersweet seeing yourself when you were so young. I guess the film helps hold on to our youth. At least it doesn't grow old.
Looking at the film, even though it was filmed in the days of what might be termed amateurish equipment, it shows that Ross had an unbelievable talent for movie making.
In that time, I've had a whole life. Marriage, kids, death of a wife, and it's amazing just to go back and be young again.
Doing this voiceover has been a really good experience. What I am looking forward to is how it's all put together.
Ross has become a real master of Photoshop, taking his acting friends and putting them into places they could never go, It's the only way he could tell a lot of the story.
After 46 years and seeing myself then, I don't think anybody appreciates how actually good looking I was then. I'm now an old man, and I think, wow, what happened? It was yesterday.
One of the opening scenes in the movie required a British Spitfire to attack a vehicle carrying a bunch of Germans.
This isn't the way I filmed the scenes, but these are the actual models I used.
For this scene, my mother's garden shed served as my studio. Shooting one frame at a time, it took 6 weeks of stop frame photography to film the Spitfire scene, which ended up taking about 30 seconds of screen time. Always a firm believer in nepotism, I had my girlfriend to assist me.
Blood and Treasure, Peter Walsh, 29th of November 2014.
My friendship with Ross goes way back to when we were teenagers. But here's a little known fact. Ross could be very needy. I think that's why he's in so many of his own films. He's always wanting attention.
He would turn up at my place, often at the most inappropriate of times. Fair dinkum. One time he even bought a gun. It just got too much and I had to be firm with him, make him see reason. Even then I could never get away. He was relentless. For years he would follow us everywhere. He was just like a stalker. In the end, I terminated our friendship altogether. He then took his frustrations out on his much younger brother.
Ross could be so cruel.
My early efforts in film were only a reflection of what was happening in the cinemas and on television at the time. This was as close as we got to being gangsters. We attempted a Civil War movie. There were monster films. I convinced my younger brother Leon that he was a natural for this role. Somehow, I ended up the hero in my films, overcoming impossible obstacles and always getting the girl. My friends all got to be villains, but after all, my dad owned the camera, so that's just the way it worked out.
Yes, I remember some of the early movies. I was the villain, and usually ended up at the receiving end of punishment.
Had I known what was going on, I might have been able to stop it. Had I known, I would have tried. I have several university degrees in English literature, so I fully appreciate the research and the work that Ross has put into editing the script for this film. He was always polishing and refining.
The movie somewhat amazes me, like the intro and all the work that Ross has put in, it's, just blows me away.
This was probably the major movie Ross made, and so we're all looking forward to seeing the end result with all the sound effects.
What makes the film really interesting is Ross's use of historical fiction. He takes real events and ties them into the film that he made all those years ago, which is, in a way, a little piece of historical fiction itself.
And I think he's really an undiscovered genius.
Oh, Pete, after all those nasty things you said earlier.